Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I was actually not planning on going live today, but obviously, considering the circumstances, I felt it was necessary to do so. Yeah, I understand that many of you are probably nervous about what happened yesterday in the Rose Garden at the White House and the tariffs that were announced, which were, as you can see by the market's reaction, a lot more severe than initially anticipated. I won't be. I'm on the road. I won't be showing myself during this live, but um, you'll just have to miss me. And also, you can see me on this thumbnail, looking handsome as ever. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right. So, this is a snapshot of the bloodbath that we saw today. So, everything was basically down. There were some, defensive stocks that were better than the rest. But if you look certainly at the Mag 7, it looks like the aftermath of a Mongolian invasion. Amazon is down 9%. Tesla's down 5% on the day. Nvidia's down 7.8%, creating quite an interesting entry point for those who think that they may have missed out on Nvidia and it was too expensive for the longest time. Well, I think now it's making a stronger and stronger argument for itself. So, frankly speaking, here, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything that I tell you. It's not about being a perma bull; it's about being perma right, as I always say. And I'm going to try and diagnose things as I see them right now. And the fact of the matter is, there has been ongoing a steady process of moral decay in the United States, now primarily driven by media and things that have been promoted. Selfishness has been promoted, narcissism, and basically a complete uh, letting go of any of the moral foundation that was embedded into society. And this brought us Trump. This is, I think, Trump. Really care, and he'll do anything to serve himself. I don't really believe in the argument that he may see tariffs as good for the economy, good for the United States. I just don't see that. There was a famous sort of experiment with tariffs that the United States went through in the 1930s. This Smoot-Hawley Act raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods to boost government revenue. But it backfired and global trade shrunk by 60%. And obviously, we had the Great Depression. And so, this is something that most economists don't really disagree on. It's kind of like with nutritionists. I mean, they don't really agree on much, but they will agree on, sugar being bad. Now, with economists, they don't really agree on much, but they do agree on tariffs being bad. And so this is kind of a settled economic question. Tariffs are going to cause lesser quality products to be made, or equal quality products to be made, but at higher prices. So it makes no economic sense whatsoever. And the effort that's taken into making lesser quality products or equal quality products at higher prices, this effort will be taken away from industries wherein the tariffing country had an advantage and could have made better products in. And so, longer term, what I think is going to happen is that if these tariffs stay in place longer term, is that these tariffs are going to create a layer of Americans who are producing products that they know will die and their businesses will die if these tariffs are are removed. And so it's going to create a layer of entrenched interests that have livelihoods that are very much dependent on these tariffs staying in place and, by extension, Trump staying in power. So it'll be very difficult once these tariffs are in place for them to be rolled back. And the longer they stay in place, the more difficult it becomes to roll back. And so, to the extent that you believe Trump is intelligent enough to understand this, I believe in here lies his true motivation. I don't think it was about the economy at all, or about the United States at all, or about he wants to create a layer of people in society that are completely dependent on him. And that's what I think is happening. When someone shows you who they are, you believe them, and I believe that Trump has shown us time and time again that he is very basically a self-interested person, and so I analyze his actions based on this understanding. Now, in terms of impact on the United States, if these tariffs are to stay in place longer term, and we have, universal 25% tariffs, and all impacted countries retaliate with equal measures, this is going to cause inflation or add to inflation 5.5% in the United States. And then you can see these other countries and how they're impacted. 2% added in Canada, around 1% added in Mexico. So a lot of people are going to be impacted in a very bad way. Now, these are the impacts that I talked to you about. These are longer term. These are the entrenched interests that are going to really be dependent on Trump staying in power. And by the way, this guy has no intention whatsoever of leaving after his second term is done. No intention whatsoever. And like I said, when someone shows you who they are, you should believe them. And after his first term, yeah, he tried to steal the elections. He tried to, and there's calls where uh, he's telling Georgia officials, "Hey, can you guys?" And he's yelling, "Hey, I need you guys to find me, X amount of votes." He's yelling, and the recording is out there. So this guy has already shown us who he is, and so there's no way that this guy is leaving after his second term is done. He's going to try as much as possible to stay around. And so, he's working on creating an environment where that can happen, and enough people that are interested in him staying in power. He's working on creating that environment from now. Now, shorter term, this is 4 years away where we hit that block. But shorter term, it does look like things, may loosen up monetarily. We may get some liquidity in the market in the form of lower taxes. We may get some interest rate cuts. So it looks like June, there's close to an 80% chance or 85% chance that we get a cut in June, either 25 basis points or 50 basis points. And if you look at the 25 basis point cut, that the market is pricing in 67% chance that we get this cut in June, and that was 60% yesterday. It was 58% 1 week ago. So things are moving in the right direction in terms of interest rate cuts. And so this liquidity is what causes me to believe that the market is right about its reaction to these tariffs if they are implemented as advertised. However, the time frame is what it has wrong. So the impact of the tariffs will really be if they are longer term, and so it's probably going to take a few years for this to fully materialize and the economy to really start um, changing on a fundamental level. And Before then, in the nearer term, we're talking about months and even in the next year or two, I think that the economy is and the stock market is going to be just fine. And one of the catalysts being the liquidity picture. And what we can do is the same strategy that we've always followed, and that is to find the best assets and to put our money there. Now, it has become very clear that one of these best assets is Bitcoin. If you look at year to date, I mean, it's basically performed like an index performs, not like an individual asset. So it's down, close to 12%, which is not too far off from what the S&P has done, and so or the Nasdaq. And so, if you're talking about as an individual asset performing like an index, that's not bad. I mean, that kind of gives it a risk-off flavor, not as risk-off as, let's say, gold that has been making new all-time highs all the time. But it's certainly not behaving as a risk-on asset. And we've seen risk-on assets really lose 30, 40, 50% of their value, depending on the asset. And so, Bitcoin is proving itself. It's proving its chops, and it's becoming, I think, a more reliable asset with time. And we have a lot of investments in Bitcoin proxies that could do very well with the success of Bitcoin. And so what we're doing, what our strategy is, generally speaking, is the same strategy that we've always had, which is to invest in the best assets. And I do believe that for now and for the next few years, the best assets will be in the United States in terms of companies and innovation and unique products with moats. The best companies, if you're looking for those, the best managements, they will be in the United States. And this is not going to change in the near term. Now, longer term, beyond a few years, if the trend is to continue in the way that it is, and like I said, I want to give it to you guys straight, the United States is not going in the right direction. It is going towards tyranny, really. And I think we saw sort of a sampling of the reaction of the American people to tyranny, and what has been disappointing. So, in the example of Mahmoud Khalil, the student who was arrested for expressing his opinion on the Palestine issue, and the Turkish student that was basically kidnapped in broad daylight, we're seeing that the United States public has an appetite for tyranny. It's not completely repulsed or bothered by it. There has been, some movement, but not really to the extent where you can rely on it to protect the country from, slipping into increasing tyranny. And there aren't enough good people in government to stop it either. I mean, when I know Marco Rubio is a much smarter person than Donald Trump is, and he is someone who has, approved these deportations because his interests, and he knows that these are, what they are. He understands them for what they are. Like I said, he's not a moron, but his self-interest, prevents him from actually, standing up for the Constitution or for the country that he represents. So what I'm seeing is that the population in the United States is not really showing much fight in terms of, protecting its freedoms. And certainly some of the economic policies, like walling off the United States, creates a layer of in society that is very much attached to the current administration, and therefore I think it's important to be aware of this and to understand that this is not going to happen. The transformation of the country is not going to happen in months. It's not going to happen in the next year or two or three. It's a longer term process, but it is happening, and so it's important for us to not be blind to this and make sure that we have enough flexibility to act accordingly. And so I think we're going to have a strong second half of 2025. We're probably going to have a strong 2026 in the market, even 2027. Start talking about 2028, and that's probably when you should probably, definitely consider diversifying outside the United States. It's very possible that a lot of the best companies in the world will no longer be in the United States. So, in summary, I think the market in the near term has got it wrong, and the longer term has got it right. But we'll see. A lot can change. I hope that the United States and the American people wake up to what's happening, and we've been through tougher situations in the past. We've gotten through them, so hopefully this happens again this time around. So with that being said, let's go to questions very quickly. Salam Zuhair, nice to see you. Salam Codenama. Salam Ali. Yep, never a dull moment with Trump. Still waiting for better entries. Rakaan, if you believe Trump has done all this to create a system of patronage and plans to say for a third term, shall we diversify beyond the U.S.? How successful do you think Trump will be? I think it's important, to start thinking about diversifying outside the United States. But like I said, being early is the same as being wrong in the market. And so I think that, fleeing the United States is probably not the right course of action. I think that these things take, years to fully materialize. But I do think that this is something that we should start looking seriously into. And today the best countries and the best companies in the world are in the United States. That's why our money is here. Tomorrow that may not be the case, and then you have to have your tap dancing shoes on and make sure that you're always in the best companies in the world, wherever they may be. And I'm honestly seeing a lot of opportunity in other countries, but obviously you don't want to jeopardize your morals as well. So wherever we go, we have to be morally comfortable with the companies as with the countries that we're investing in as well. All right, guys. This is how I see things right now. If you enjoyed this live, leave a like. I'm on the road, so I may not have the same cadence with lives, but I will try and address, certainly for PIF members, the big events that happen. And inshallah, everything will be fine. And it's not really Trump that controls the world or the markets, and it's not the people around Trump who control the world or the markets. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who controls everything. And so with that in the back of your mind, I think it's important to always be optimistic and understand that things are moving in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a lot of wisdom uh, behind. And so we're going to be just fine, inshallah. And there's no reason to panic. And we're going to get through this and be better off because we went through this, inshallah. So, with that being said, uh, like I said, leave a like. And until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.